Greetings, Mark Garang here, publisher of The Sun, and another installment of our candidate interviews. Today we have two planning board candidates, Ray Shakir and Stephen Steiner. Ray, Stephen?
Good morning.
Good morning. Hey, how you guys doing?
Good.
Good. So I just want to set the stage here. There are 2 3-year seats open on the planning board.
Yep.
And there are 5 candidates, you two, and Nat Lucy, and 2 incumbents, Eric Corbett and Ben Colbath. And both of you have served on the planning board prior.
We have.
Yes, and Stephen, you did it.
For a total of 6 years, I guess.
Yeah. And you were saying about 10 years ago?
Started about 8 years ago, yeah.
All right. And Ray, you?
A couple of years ago and for 2 years.
Yeah. And how, I want to go through the issues that are on the ballot so people have an idea of what you guys think of the warrant articles. But since you both have experience on the planning board, how do you think it's changed over the last 5 or 10 years? Stephen?
Well, I just think that what's happened in the last few years is that we have people on there with an agenda.
And the agenda being?
Well, what's the agenda? It's all about. What can I say? I mean, it just it should be more. It shouldn't be for specific issues like short-term rentals or anything else. I'm trying to. My mind's.
But are you saying? I mean, you're. We should do introductions here. So, Stephen, you're a realtor.
I am a realtor, yes.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say about your background outside of being a realtor and a planning board?
Well, yeah, so I've been an electrical contractor for 20-some plus years, 5 master licenses in 2 states. Get involved with the community. I've done a lot of that since I've been in New Hampshire, more so here than down in New York or New Jersey. Costs money to run for office down there. So.
Yeah. So you're from New York and New Jersey?
New Jersey. I was born. Actually, according to my mom, I was conceived in Alton Bay.
Oh, nice. Alton Bay, New Hampshire.
Yes,
nice.
I was. Yeah.
Looks like a vacation time. Must have been an interesting night. And Ray, you live on the West Side Road, off the West Side Road.
Yes, I do. I live on the top of Birch Hill. Yeah. And I built my house in more years than I wanted to admit.
I bought my property. You're a New Yorker too.
I beg your pardon?
You're a New Yorker also.
Oh, yes, I am. I was a construction manager for Con Edison for all 5 boroughs. Major construction that Con Edison had planned. I was instrumental in that planning. So I have quite a few years of experience directly related with all sorts of construction, primarily subsurface, but quite a bit of substation work and stuff like that. So I think I'm pretty well rounded in terms of my abilities to work with contractors and all types of construction elements that go into project planning, etc.
How do you think the planning board's changed?
Well, to tell you the truth, think it's gotten away from the core issues in what this town is all about, which is recreation. And it's kind of like gravitated towards more on the educational scene, away from leisure activities. Don't get me wrong, education is very vital, but each geographical location has its priorities. And the priorities, in my view, in this particular town is both retirement and recreation. And when I first came over here, it was primarily recreation, and now it's gravitating towards a more homogeneous activities.
I'm not sure I understand what that means and how it relates to the planning board. You're saying in terms of where money is spent?
Where the money is, how money is distributed.
Okay, but the planning board doesn't distribute money. The selectmen do a pretty good job at that, and the school does even a better job at that.
Yes, sure
And
does.
budget committee.
Huh?
And budget committee.
Yeah, but they don't spend it.
No, they
try to cut it.
Yeah, right.
So I guess, Ray, just to keep going on that, how does the planning board relate to those activities?
Well, it just seems to me that their activities are they prioritize the activities of the direction of the town, the ultimate direction of the town. That's the way I view it.
Right.
And when I was on the planning board, it certainly did go in that direction, and where their priorities, where their priorities lay, in terms of the direction, the ultimate direction of the town. And I just believe that where we should be going is towards recreational facilities and retirement facilities. For example, because of the age group in this particular area, we should be emphasizing medical procedures, medical practices, and our planning should be to make those medical facilities a lot more attractive to come here to service the areas. I mean, I don't know about you, but when I get sick, I got to get in my truck and I got to travel 1,000 miles in order to get any kind of decent, medical attention.
Well, I think people up the road would disagree with you a little bit.
Well, I'll disagree with them all day long,
Okay, so
because
let's not
I go there.
Okay, let's not go there. And Stephen, you'll have, it's going to like for you to respond to all that, but I just want to get, just to go one more question about that, Ray, is that, so how does the planning board, like the planning board is doing is part of the master plan process now. So how specifically could the planning board encourage retirement related facilities like medical facilities? Can you give them tax breaks, or what? Like, what could they be done?
That's the first thing I was going to say, by giving tax breaks and by making it attractive to to construct new medical facilities in town owned properties. Okay, make it a lot easier in terms of code enforcement and making it easier, cutting out the red tape.
But who would come up here for medical facilities, and I don't want to get too far off the field on this, but we're not going to get another hospital. I mean, hospitals are consolidating. We're not going to, so you're talking about like medical practices of,
Right. I mean, they're talking about, getting specific in terms of medical. I mean, there's plenty of general, well, I don't say that there's plenty, there's kind of like adequate for general medical attention here, but there's very few specific medical categories.
I mean, like in Portland, you can go to the orthopedic guy, you can go to the dermatologist woman,
Right.
and all that. So you're saying we should have that?
Right. I think that we should have some specifics.
All right, well, but that's why we have Portland right there, and you have your truck, and you can make it to Portland.
Yeah, thank you. But I don't want to get my truck.
All right.
I
Stephen,
mean, I
what
want
do
to get my truck and I want to go down the street.
All right, what do you think? I mean, not so much about Ray, but what do you think about the, the master plan in general and about the planning board? Because one thing about the planning board is that I've noticed, and I've been here forever, is that, and when we have a recession, the planning board members tend to be pro-development. And then we get in boom times, like we have been for many, many years now, a decade or so, after the 2007 or 8 thing, recession. Then you get people who tend to be more preservationists and anti-growth.
Well, I don't know what they are, because I can tell you the projects that I was involved in. So the Cambria was
The hotel.
A hotel was one of the cases I sat on, and what I saw, what I see now is it's a beautiful building. I mean, it's set back. It's not up on the street like there's another hotel.
The garden, the Hilton Garden.
Hilton Gardens. That's. I don't want to use any derogatory names or words, but it's not good. I mean, if I was on the board when we were for that case, it wouldn't have been like that. I mean, it definitely would have been back another 100 feet. It just, it's way too far. It's an eyesore. People I've spoken to, other citizens in the community, just don't like it.
Okay, and it's funny, I think I'm probably a voice of one who doesn't think it's that big a deal that it's so close to the road. Whether you look at a parking lot, because they had to put a lot of fill in the back there, so I think they had to put the fill for the parking lot, and they couldn't put a whole building on it. But anyway, so you sat on the board, and what's your point? So you sat on the board with the Cambria.
Just
but
saying
it's there.
No, it's there. Yeah, I mean, it definitely, we can't stop, development.
Right.
And I'm just saying that we did a nice job. And it was decisions that were made on where it is and all that, you know, position planning and all was stellar. Same thing with Market Basket. You know,
If I can interrupt, I think that where he's going is you're going towards too much urbanization.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying
That's the way I read it.
The community not needed. I won't say needed because we had 3 supermarkets anyway, but they wanted a Market Basket. I mean, that's what I was hearing loud and clear.
That's
but
probably the biggest joke. three supermarkets, major supermarkets.
No, I didn't say
within
we need.
No, I'm just saying within walking distance. I mean, it's kind of like ridiculous for the population that we're serving.
Well, I mean, you know, I always think with people like Market Basket and the hotels, they know what they're doing. They're not going to build a zillion-dollar Market Basket unless they think they can attract enough people. And I think with Market Basket, not to digress in a grocery world, but you know, more people are coming to this area because of Market Basket. Berlin, Western Maine, I know, you know, we know they are. But anyway,
Sure.
So what about speaking of hotels? There's the moratorium. Voters passed a moratorium last year, which prevents new construction over buildings 50,000 square feet or bigger, basically hotels and lows and those, which we don't have right now. So, and it's on the ballot again. Interestingly, there are 2 properties, the Red Jacket and Yankee Clipper, who both of which are owned by Ashok Patel, and he wants to build some housing units along with them and back, but he can't because of the moratorium. So it's an interesting contrast between, hey, we got a housing shortage, but we don't want hotels, so we got this moratorium, but they can't build housing. So, Ray, what do you think about the moratorium?
I think it's kind of ridiculous because, you know, you're building housing that's needed. You said it yourself, okay? You're not building transients. So if you have a developer over here that's willing to put up appropriate housing, needed housing, rather than transient housing, I think it's foolish to stop the guy from doing the job.
But what about the moratorium outside of, that is a tail wagging the dog for sure. But what about the moratorium concept in general, that we just got to stop hotels for a while until...
I agree.
You do?
Yeah, I do.
Aren't you a free market guy?
I am certainly a free market guy within the confines of reasonable action. I mean, you know, where do you stop? That's the question. Where do you stop? Where do you hold off and gravitate towards full-time residents instead of making Conway instead of making it a town, making it Conway Hotel? You know what I'm saying?
But doesn't the market, and Stephen, obviously you're going to weigh in on this, but doesn't the market determine that? We get more hotels, we need more people build more housing, then we have more employees, and we get more hotels. You know, it's kind of like it goes around in a spiral.
There's a limit to everything, okay? Everything should be done, you know, not piecemeal, but everything should be done within reason. And when you gravitate to too much of one area, you're gravitating to too much of one area. So there should be a balance of complete residential goals, and there's vacation and recreational goals, and everything should be in balance. And I just think that willy-nilly building these hotels without any type of, I don't want to use the word restriction, but you know, long-term plan, is not the way to go.
All right, Stephen, what do you think about that?
I think the moratorium is taking freedom away, and I think that the market will bear what it's going to bear. The planning of this whole strip was way beyond, you know, before my day. So whoever let the cat out of the bag was done way before I started serving on these boards.
I mean, do you think if there was like the master plan, this is what the master plan is trying to develop. And we know, one thing we know is that the reason why the hotels are on the strip is that's where the water and sewer is.
Right.
And so that's a whole nother question if they expand water and sewer, like on past Walmart,
Eastman Road, yep.
Eastman Road, that's a whole different story. But so where do you think there should be a master plan that should govern the balance, as Ray kind of is suggesting, that to have like a command economy, you know, where we say, well, that area is, you know, only for hotels, Or how strict, how much regulation do you want to see or not want to see regarding that development?
If I can interrupt, I'm not talking about major, government intervention.
Yeah.
I'm not looking at that at all. I'm just talking about, a reasonable, balance so that you satisfy as many people as you can.
All right, that's fair. Stephen?
The bottom line is, I think people come in and want to develop and build something. If it can go through the rigors of the planning board and the regulations of the town that they've set out, I have no problem. But I was against the hotel up in Intervale.
You're against it?
Oh, I was against it.
And for what reason?
Oh, it shouldn't be a hotel there. That's all. It should, somebody should have bought that land up and should have made it a park or something.
But doesn't that conflict with your free market philosophy?
I'm just saying you had other butters that it was affecting, and that was another issue too.
All right. Okay. Ray, what did you think about that, the hotel up there?
Again, not to be repetitive, but I think there should be a balance, and I really have no problem with the hotel. Okay, I think it's enough. I mean, it goes within the bounds of this is a recreational district, and we should do whatever we can to enhance that recreation. But there's always a but. Okay, where do you stop? I mean, not stop, but where do you plan so that it doesn't get out of hand, all right? And that's the debate, and that's why there's more than Ray Shakir on the planning board. That's why there's others that could, put their input in and say, well, Ray, maybe we're going too far with this, or maybe we're not going far enough, and that's where the balance comes in to a compromise to try to satisfy as many people as you can. And personally, I gravitate towards the retirement community end of it. I'm retired. And if you take a look around in your neighborhoods where people actually live, we're all retired.
Well, I don't know.
A lot of us,
Are you
or most of
retired,
us are
Stephen?
retired.
No, I'm not
He's
retired.
getting there.
Yeah,
No
same-
matter what he
same with
says. Okay.
I don't think I am. I don't think Rob is either.
You're not that far away either.
Oh, come on.
No fun in
Yeah,
retirement.
yeah. All right, so just politics for a little bit. I mean, of all the boards and commissions or whatever, committees, I should say, in town, the planning board seems to be the one that people appreciate the most at the time. I mean, they're doing a lot with the master plan. I think they've been pretty aggressive with trying to uphold the architectural guidelines. They've done a lot with worried about the impervious soil and reducing parking spaces. And remember, we all know we always see Lowe's and Home Depot with more parking spots than they'll ever use, and it's basically
That's
a bunch of
very true.
asphalt,
That's
which
very
is a
true.
waste. So I think their philosophy is much different than that. With the Wendy's, when they just approved down by the old Friendly's thing, I think they actually reduced the number of parking spaces. So where I'm leading to is like, what's wrong with the planning board? Like, why not? What issues do you specifically have with it that you want to be part of that they're not doing correctly? Stephen?
Well, I think one of the issues that bothers me is that 2 years in a row, I've ran for planning board. Didn't quite make the list by the voters, which I respect. But when I went to volunteer my time and be alternate, they wouldn't even entertain that. So I don't know what the big threat is with Stephen Steiner and the planning board. I did a good job, excellent job as far as I'm concerned, and what other people have told me, that being on the ZBA and the planning board, I've been more than fair to mostly everybody, and I was the only one that I think voted for the casino. So only because that was a simple one, because the law said it could go there, and that was the bottom line.
Yeah. Ray, what's wrong with the planning
Well,
board?
let me give you an example. Let me tell you by example of answer your question by example. Okay, I remember when they were reconstructing 16. All right, and I pushed big time because of my background, because of my experience. I pushed big time for burying the utilities. Okay? And I went to the boards and I said, you know, this is the time to bury utilities because now is you get it for nothing. Well, of course it's not for nothing, but I mean, figuratively speaking, the roadway is open, the trenches are there, all right? Put the stuff in the ground, and we won't be going through outages like we've been going through the last couple of months or whatever, because I don't know about you, but it's my neighborhood. I've been out of power for three times already.
Oh, yeah.
All right? So, bury the utilities. It costs practically nothing when you. The biggest expense is in excavation and restoration. That's where your money is. All right. Bury the utilities. I have all kinds of experience in that area. Put it in the ground, and we don't have to worry. Plus, it looks like crap to tell you.
Well, let me ask you a question because I was on the Mount Washington Valley Preservation Association 10 years ago when we went through when the road through North Conway was being rebuilt, and that was our big priority. And it turned out that even though we had $1 million grant from Judd Gregg, I think at the time, that was one of those earmarks, is that it wasn't enough money. So we abandoned that idea because it was just so expensive. So I guess my question to you, Ray, is that you think at that time you would have suggested that the town should have paid for that?
I'm suggesting that we should have put a bond up and paid it off. Absolutely. There's no question about it.
All right.
Now we're over. Now we still have these overhead things that makes the town look like garbage, to tell you the truth. Okay, and we don't have the reliability anywhere near the reliability of buried utilities, and it's a commercial district, and you don't want to be out of power in the commercial district. And with the storms that we've been having and stuff like that, the chances of you losing power is significant. But it wouldn't have been significant if the stuff was in the ground. Right. And the differential we could have paid off. It would have been paid off already.
All right. Okay. That's a good point. Yeah. Any comment on buried lines?
Well, like I've been an electrical contractor for
there you go.
20-some plus years. I always put stuff in the ground, and buried it when I could. It's a state highway, so I don't know if the town could have bonded it, but definitely the state could have. And keeping utilities underground is a good thing.
Yeah. Okay. Now, one of the things, and we're not going to go through, we don't have time to go through the whole warrant. There's lots of planning board articles on there. Most of them are just definitions, and people are going to go there, check, 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 check. They're just going to approve them. But one of them is, which is really just sort of housekeeping of this whole inspection program that the town started on its own administratively, where they're asking anybody who rents short-term and long-term to register with the town and to meet basic safety codes, which means an inspector goes in their house at some point. Although you can do it through a self-affidavit, we also know that. So without getting in the weeds of how all that works, Stephen, what do you think about just the concept? We have commercial inspections for construction, but we don't have any residential, right? You can build your house and nobody inspects it. And that's
live free or die.
Live free or die. Well, live free with at least a qualified electrician and plumber for sure.
Exactly.
But what do you think about this inspection with the rental property is different because it's not just your own home you're renting to the public?
I have no problem when it comes to public safety. The last thing we need is a catastrophe with a house burning down with tenants or with short-term rental folks sleeping in there and they all perish because there's no smoke detector. So I'm all for it. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So, I come from Jersey. Inspectors are all over the place.
Yep. Ray, what do you think about that?
Well, I can't argue with that. If we're talking about a commercial enterprise, we're talking about a business. I should be very safety conscious in terms of my own property to ensure that whoever rented and left and now is going to be prepared for another venture, that property meets standards. So I happen to agree with Steve in terms of that goal.
Okay. Now, one thing, and this is where small town comes into play, because I'm the one who sponsored this amendment, this article about controlling short-term rentals. So without getting too far into that, what do you guys think about whether we should have any control over short-term rentals? In this specific article, which I sponsored with 25 signatories, basically says if you rent more than 30 calendar days a year, then you're basically qualified as a commercial enterprise, and you have to meet commercial enterprise standards, safety standards, which are strict, like firewalls and that kind of stuff. So I guess, Ray, I think you're pretty outspoken about STRs. What do you think about them in concept? And I'm not sure you even know enough about that specific article.
Well, I don't, but
Okay.
I'm telling you right now, I am 150,000% against short-term rentals in residential areas. Okay, I
Period.
really, period.
I mean, people have done that for generations, you know.
Is that 150,000%?
Percent.
I'm
That's a-
150,000%
I know.
for.
I know we're on opposite ends there.
okay,
No,
well, that's a good-
I am against
Whoops.
short-term rent in in strictly residentially zoned areas. I don't believe that we should put up with people coming next door to us, literally next door to us, that change regularly, and you don't know who's going to be there, and you don't know who you're dealing with. You don't know what they're doing there. All right.
What about property rights, though? I mean, if you own a home and you want to rent it for a couple of weeks a year, what's the big deal?
It's very simple, okay? When you buy into a neighborhood, it's zoned for a specific situation. And I don't think short-term rentals covers single-family habitation.
Is that what the courts have said?
All right, so Stephen, you obviously take the different view on short-term rentals. You're a free market guy in that respect.
Totally, totally. And
And
not
what-
just because I'm a realtor either.
No,
No, that has
absolutely
nothing to
not.
do with it. We know that. And but what do you think about the idea is that when someone buys into a neighborhood, when you buy a house in a neighborhood, that's why we have residential zoning. It's called residential zoning.
Again, the cat's been brought out of the bag way before my time coming here.
Well,
Okay, so, you know, it's gotten a little more intense because of other organizations and platforms that people can sign up and
Yeah, the digital,
get,
yeah.
the digital part of it. I just, you know, property rights. I mean, again, if someone is disorderly in my neighborhood, you know, I'm going to pick up and talk to Chris and have him send over a cruiser and have these people to
Yeah, but
quiet
that-
down.
that-
But in, you know, again, coming from the, you know, the Jersey side of things, you know, there are ordinances for noise. So that's, and we don't have those here apparently.
And if I
we
might
do. We have a
do.
noise ordinance.
Oh, we do
yeah,
now?
but the
Okay.
problem is that nobody wants to wake up nobody wants at 1 o'clock every morning, weekend morning, is to have to call the cops. They shouldn't have to
No,
do
that's
that.
true. But again, so then if you have to, you find those people who are making the noise, and you know, I mean, you just can't. I can't restrict. I will not vote. I will not vote for anything that restricts the usage of a home.
Well, Ray, I appreciate
Well,
you. Go
well,
ahead.
just let me
Yeah, yeah,
interrupt,
yeah.
all right? I want to make it clear. I am not against rentals. I'm against short-term rentals, okay? I mean, if you want to rent your property next door, you know, and I got a neighbor.
Long-term
and,
property,
You know,
long-term.
and he's going to be there, you know, for whatever the amount of time. I got no problem with that, all right? He's my neighbor, fine. But I have a problem with a turnover, a complete turnover, a regular turnover of people that you know, I don't establish with. If I have somebody and I don't get along with somebody that's renting next door, I know what the situation is. He stays there, I stay here, we mind our own business. But when it changes every week or whatever, and you don't know who's coming next door, that presents a major problem.
It is, and there's two sides to it, and I'm the one who was behind this article, so I can. And Eric Corbett was the only one on the planning board that's voted for it, so at least we know we can count on 3 votes: you, me, and Eric.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So we only have a couple minutes left, Stephen. You want to give a last little idea of why you want to run, why you're running for the planning board, and why people should vote?
Again, I have a lot to add to bring to the table. I have through the years of living in this town. Again, not only on the budget, you know, also now the budget committee. Although I've been on the budget committee a couple times. ZBA and planning board. I enjoy serving, and it's enjoyable for me. I have a lot of time in the evening for me to tackle problems.
All right,
that's it.
Ray, what do you think?
Well, I'm kind of like similar because I've been served on several boards already, and I want to make the town attractive to visitors and have a good time over here. And I've been through it and seen how most people enjoy the area, and I want to make the area attractive for that enjoyment, and I want to make it so that they want to come back and support the town. So I've done it before, and I think I did a pretty good job of it also. And I want to continue that situation, but I want to do it so that it is attractive to the people. My main point is to be attractive to people that live here all year round and make this their home.
Okay.
So I want to make sure it stays civil.
All righty. Well, win or lose, you guys, I think everybody appreciates that you're so committed to the community, both of you, and that's what's really refreshing about talking to all you as candidates, because you are committed.
We are.
Even though you may have issues that you disagree
and we are buddies. So.
But you're not going to invite Stephen to rent a house next to you in a short
No,
rental,
he's not allowed.
except for that.
That's
Well,
All right,
we
guys.
are buddies.
I appreciate your time, and good luck. Stephen,
Yep.
always a pleasure.
Thanks.
Ray?
It's been really a pleasure.
All right, take care, guys.
Okay.